Packers have dropped 3 straight now and are 6-3, 1 game behind the Vikings in the NFC North, who have won 5 consecutive and are 7-2. Stephen A. Will Rodgers, that bad man, save the day?
Skip Bayless, I don't think he has a choice. He's the bad man. I got to admit to you, I'm forced to pick the bad man that is Aaron Rodgers here because I can't imagine what will be said about him if he loses a 4th consecutive game. At some point in time, a level of that's right. Yeah. By you. Well, actually, you're the only one. You're the only one I'm concerned about. There's nobody else that phases me. So it's just the way that it is. But I got to tell you, I'm a bit worried because I look at the Minnesota Vikings, Skip. They have surprised me. Adrian Peterson has been outstanding. That's no surprise. Teddy Bridgewater has been, he's been good. He's been good. And when you look at their defense, man, they just show up. And I can't rave enough about Zimmer. So I'm looking at Green Bay, and I'm like, you have every reason to be able to lose this game, particularly on the road. You're going to have a lot of stuff stacked against you. There's no question about that. And you know what questions I have about Green Bay's defense? It's highly suspect. But I just think desperate times call for desperate measures. And I think this is one of those games where we're going to see and witness the greatness of Aaron Rodgers come shining through because Minnesota being in first place now in the NFC North, you lose this game, in all likelihood, you lose the division to Minnesota. You're right. I think that Green Bay's back's against the wall. So it's like that rat trapped in the corner against that cat. I mean, this is what it is. You're going to run up until you have no choice but to come out clawing and scratching your way out of that abyss. And I find that to be the situation that the Green Bay Packers are in. I have no reason, plausibly speaking, based on what we have seen from the Green Bay Packers, to pick them to win this game. Lacey was out. Starks hasn't stepped in admirably. James Jones, along with Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams, according to the scouting combine, the stats from the scouting combine and the Pro Football Day, when they came out the slowest times of any receiving corps in the NFL right now. You know how I feel about Richard Rodgers. As far as I'm concerned, he ain't Mr. Rodgers because I can't count on him, okay? So I look at it from that perspective, and I just say to myself, I'm very worried about Green Bay, but I've got to believe that with their backs against the wall, they understand the precipice that they're up against, and I think that they're going to respond in kind because I believe in Aaron Rodgers. If Green Bay loses this game, I believe they lose the division crown. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's that important. I think if they find a way to win this game, I'm going to pick Green Bay to win 24-21.
Very interesting. And I admire you for sticking with the bad man. He'd better win this game. You're right. Yeah. And yet, before I make my pick, I went last night through my stats packet from ESPN, and numbers just leap out at me that shock me how bad Aaron Rodgers has been over the last 3 games, or Green Bay has been over the last 3 games. Yeah. But I look at what's happened with Randall Cobb. From 2011 to 2014, Aaron Rodgers completed 75% of his passes to Randall Cobb, who, when I was rooting against Rodgers, Randall Cobb would just torment me because he always seemed to get open at the most opportune moment. Now, obviously, there was Jordy Nelson to make the big defense stretching plays, but Randall Cobb made a lot of third-down catches that just killed me when I rooted against Aaron Rodgers. Now, this year, he's completing only 59% of his passes to Randall Cobb and missed him, obviously, on the 2-point try in Carolina. Then I look at blitzing. First 6 games, Packers 6-0. Aaron Rodgers was blitzed only 20% of the time. And when he was blitzed, he completed 77% of his passes. Last 5 games, he's been blitzed 41% of the time and completed only 52% of his passes. He's crumbling under the – Aaron Rodgers is crumbling under the blitz. The bad man. I'm just stunned by that. And then, as you talk about running the football, first 6 games, they average 127 yards rushing. Last 3 games, 69 yards. Well, they can't do anything. They can't defend. They haven't had a sack in 3 straight games. And the Vikings have still the best rusher in pro football. The best running back in pro football is still Adrian Peterson. He looks even better than he did maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Now he's got his quickness and speed back. And their defense is just shocking me because it's a top 5. And in fact, it allowed the second fewest points in the NFL. So it's a legit defense under the great Mike Zimmer. I'll give him great because he's long been a really great defensive football coach. I knew him back to his Dallas days. He can just coach defense, and he's elevating in stature into a top 5 defensive coach, even though he is the head coach. So in the end, I say it's going to come down to me, Aaron Rodgers, Teddy Bridgewater. I'm sorry, I can't buy Teddy Bridgewater. I just can't. So I'm going to go with you this Sunday because, come on, Aaron Rodgers has to be able to beat Teddy Bridgewater in a big game of a big division sort of tilting game. Well, come on, really? You can't beat Teddy Bridgewater?
You know, I hear the conclusion that you're coming to. We're there together. It's just that it's for different reasons. Like, Teddy Bridgewater isn't going up against the same defense as Aaron Rodgers.
No.
So when you say Aaron Rodgers, can he beat Teddy Bridgewater? I know that. He's not Aaron Rodgers, but Zimmer and the way, this is the number 2 ranked defense in the NFL we're talking about here. And so when we're looking at it from that perspective and the way that they can get things done, Teddy Bridgewater going up against Green Bay is an entirely different thing than Aaron Rodgers going up against Minnesota. I guess it evens the scales to some degree because Green Bay's defense is suspect, and while Minnesota's defense is formidable, Green Bay has the Aaron Rodgers. But when we talk about, Skip, him being pressured in the pocket, look, Aaron Rodgers has been pressured in the pocket in the past. This is not phasing him. What's phasing him is that those receivers aren't getting open, and he has to hold on to the ball a little bit longer because he's trying to find somebody who's open. But I'm thinking Aaron Rodgers scrambling out of the pocket, Aaron Rodgers running with the football, Aaron Rodgers moving the chains, extending the play, and doing what he can to assist in grinding Minnesota down and working them into the ground. I think that's the kind of stuff that's going to happen, that have to transpire. And not only that, you're going to need it to transpire to keep Adrian do. And so when I look at it from that perspective, you and I both reached the same conclusion. Aaron Rodgers has to find a way to win this game. Because if he finds a way to win this game, if he does not, rather, they have lost 4 straight. And let me tell you something, Skip Bayless. As much as I love this man and as much as I believe he's the most talented quarterback I have ever seen, I can't call him that bad man anymore. He loses 4 straight.
Yep.
I mean, it's a problem. There's going to be a problem. So I'm hopeful. You know, I mean, I just think it's one of those situations. Minnesota's the better team because they're the more complete team. But they don't have Aaron Rodgers. And this is the kind of game your star is supposed to find a way to win for you.
Yeah, I agree. But if he does lose, you're going to have to go with me and just call him bad, period. B-A-D, bad,
Hanging
period.
up the crown.
Right?
Oh, it's a sad day.
Well, not if he throws for 400 yards and no interceptions. If he shows up and performs and the defense blows it, that's different. But he has to perform. I'm going to be watching how he performs because he needs to be better.
Okay, last point. I like Teddy Bridgewater. I have never loved him. I didn't love him coming out of his draft, and I told you that. He's actually been a little better than I thought. He does have some poise. I still think his accuracy comes and goes. But under the great Norv Turner, I think he's found a comfort zone that is pretty good, but not very good, just pretty good. And I still say, despite what Greg Schiano said on Mike and Mike the other day, you know, he compared him to a young Joe Montana just in the way he has poise and accuracy and footwork in the pocket. I know where Greg's trying to go with that. It's a little much for me, but
it is a little much.
It's just a little much. I'm sorry. I get the early comparisons, the guy who was kind of overlooked coming out of the draft, Joe Montana, 3rd-round draft pick, of course. But it's like comparing anybody to Michael Jordan. Just stop. It's not fair to Teddy Bridgewater. So in this case, this is magnitude. This is the Packers, the reigning champion of your division, and you get them at home. And it's going to have buzz, and it's going to have hype, and it's going to have focal point on the home team quarterback. And I'm not sure Teddy can live up to that yet. That's just me.
Mal, the only part that I disagree with you about, Skip, is that if you look at Zimmer, they've done a phenomenal job of managing Teddy Bridgewater. Yes, he's thrown 7 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions. Yep. All right, the QBR is, what is that, about 63? The quarterback rating is at 84.
Yep.
Not bad. He hasn't even passed for 2,000 yards on the season as of yet. But they have the #1 rushing attack. even though it's the 31st passing attack, they have the #1 rushing attack.
Yep.
They spend a large chunk of the time moving the chains and running the football and running a relatively pedestrian-style offense, in my estimation, where Teddy Bridgewater isn't required to take but so many chances. I think when you look at it from that perspective, with Rudolph, with Wallace, and the crew, I just think that it's one of those situations where you just look at him and say, I'm not sure that's the way to go, because they sort of look at him as a game manager. He's like Minnesota's version of Alex Smith to some degree.
Okay.
And I think if you look at it from that perspective, I don't think it's going to be that much pressure on him. He just needs to make sure he doesn't mess up and lose the game for you. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is good at doing that.
All right. I hear what you're saying, but I'm still going to boil it down in the end to Aaron Rodgers 23, Teddy Bridgewater 20. That's what I'm going to call it.
Okay.
All right. So you're both going with Green Bay. Vegas is not, though. Minnesota is favored by 1. And speaking of Vegas, we are all hyped for the big fight this weekend, Cotto versus Canelo. Check out Oscar De La Hoya on SportsCenter yesterday, telling you why this is must-see TV.
I just want to point out that we got validation from Stephen A. Smith this morning. He tweeted out, it's a must-watch event Saturday night. So thank you, Stephen.
Oh, well, if Stephen A. says it, I mean, then you got to watch it, right?
Wow.
I appreciate the love, Oscar. I appreciate the love.
Hype master, Stephen A.
Yes.
Smith. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey,
He's got
it's
a
worth
future
it.
in that.
Skip.
I know it
Skip,
is.
Molly.
Yes.
I'm serious. This fight is worth it. I'm buying the fight and looking forward to spending the money on this one.
Likewise.
You got to see this fight.
Agreed.
Got to see this fight.
That makes 3 of us. More First Take back in a minute.